welcome to another episode of the Don Davis Real Estate Show. It's your host, Don Davis of DDLRG, brokered by Compass. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. Upon that rock he built his church. Upon that rock we have built our business, and our results are a reflection of our character. If you'd like to evaluate our results, feel free to go online at any time. You can check Zillow, Redfin, HAR Platinum, and several other sources to find out exactly who you're doing business with. And once again, our results are a reflection of our character. We have built our business on the Word of God, and that's why we're broadcasting live here, 6161 Savoy, 100.7 The Word FM, live on this July the 26th, last Sunday of July. And it's a great Sunday. During the pandemic, we're going through a lot of things concerning health issues, concerning COVID-19, concerning what are we going to do to stay safe. And we have a special guest on the show today, none other than Mrs. Whitney Person of Serenity
Benefits Group.
Serenity Benefits Group. And I love that. Young in faith, my mom taught me the Serenity Prayer and the importance of trusting God in everything we do. And I think it's very, very timely for you to come out with your company. And I know you've been in the business quite some time, but it's timely for you to launch in the situations we're in when the importance of health benefits are at an all-time high. Go ahead and share with the audience your background, what made you move to Houston, and what made you get in the health insurance business.
Thank you so much, Don, for having me and giving me this platform to share what I do. So my name is Whitney Person. To make that easy to remember, it's Whitney, just like Houston. I will save all of your listeners from my singing today.
Okay.
Person, just like one people. So to make that easy to remember, you can call me Whitney, the health insurance person.
Whitney, the health insurance person.
Yes. So I'm originally from Pensacola, Florida. I came to Houston about 6 years ago. I've called Houston my home for 6 years. I absolutely love it. And I actually first started working with insurance when I was working for a skilled nursing facility, transitioning patients out of acute care in the hospitals over in the medical center into a lower level of care in skilled nursing.
Okay.
And when I started working with insurance, it blew my mind. I didn't know how much I didn't know.
Exactly.
And so when I started developing the skills and working with insurance, I felt very empowered. It's a great life skill to have. And I like empowering others with that knowledge and helping them understand their benefits because there's a strong health-wealth connection.
And people wonder, say, well, Don, how does health insurance, what does that have to do with real estate? And I tell everybody, some of the biggest problems we run into is liens on properties, and the fact that a medical lien can definitely impact your ability to buy or sell a home.
Absolutely.
Just because you weren't able to handle your medical bills. Give some situations or give them some examples. I know you're very educated in your craft. Start off with what actually is COBRA?
COBRA is the Consolidated Omnibus Budget Reconciliation Act of 1985 that allows you to keep your employer coverage if you have been terminated, you lost your job. And so that usually will have you allow you to keep coverage for about 18 months.
Okay.
It is quite expensive, so if you have a COBRA package offered to you, it would be a great time to look into all of your options. Usually when you have a COBRA option on the table, you've got a 60-day window where all of your options are available to you, whether that's through the Affordable Care Act.
Okay.
Maybe a short-term plan would be fitting, a private plan would be fitting. There's lots of different avenues that you can explore.
And that's important because I feel like there's a lot of transitioning going on right now in the pandemic. A lot of people are getting laid off and things like that. So coverages are changing and they need to be prepared. So you definitely can help with in that aspect. And what about, one of the things you really touched on that on your videos, because I do follow your YouTube channel. As a matter of fact, tell everybody about your YouTube channel as well.
So you can actually find me on Facebook, LinkedIn. You can find me on Instagram, Serenity Benefits Group, at Serenity Benefits Group, on the web, serenitybenefitsgroup.com. You can also find me on Facebook at Whitney, the health insurance person, and I will be working on my YouTube channel. Thank you for that.
Perfect. Well,
you inspired me.
Yeah, well, the Facebook page has definitely helped me because I saw some of those videos.
Yes.
I mean, the education on it. As a matter of fact, you touched on something that I know many couples and families are running into, where one person is more risky than the other.
Absolutely.
Should they have the same coverage, or how do you guys attack something like that?
Thank you for asking. That's a great question. A lot of families don't realize that they can save a lot on their monthly premiums, meaning their monthly payments for an insurance policy, by putting the individuals in the household, you can tailor fit their plans to suit them. So if you have someone who has a chronic illness or maybe going through a critical illness, it's not necessary to put everyone in the household on the same plan that one person is on. Put them on their own plan and then move the other individuals in the household to a plan but that's more suited towards lesser usage.
And that's the term we hear so much lately is underlying conditions. If somebody has underlying conditions in a situation like this, they deserve to be on a different plan because they're going to be a little bit more of a risk than the others. But we're going to go ahead and go to our first break. Keep in mind, love where you live, love where you work, love to have health insurance, love your health insurance person, Whitney. Whitney, the person, not one people. How do you say it?
Whitney, the health insurance person.
Love where you live, love where you work. DDLRG, love's going to get you. I am Don Davis of DDLRG Luxury International Real Estate, and when it's time to make a business decision about your residence, please keep in mind, it's a Don deal.
You want to excel, Don Davis is a great guy to work for. I mean, he's a great teacher and a great leader.
He's more than family. He's the guy that's actually helping me roll. I didn't know anybody when I moved out here. He's the guy rolling his sleeves up saying, come on, let's go move what you got to move.
When it's time to make a business decision about your residence, it's a Don deal. It's a Don deal. Congratulations to Tiffany and her daughters on the success of buying her second home. And when it's time to make a business decision about your home, it's a Don deal.
It's a Don deal.
It's a Don deal. Thank you. Where you live, love where you work. DDLRG, love's gonna get you. Brokered by Compass, live in the studio with Whitney, the healthcare person.
Health insurance person.
The health insurance person. I know it. I'm freezing on. I'll get it. But you're definitely Whitney, the health insurance person, and you got your experience in healthcare, learning how people had to transition from the hospital to the nursing homes and things like that. And then I also know that sometimes, from what I've heard, depending on how the coverage drops, you can be on one coverage and then they say, hey, you're no longer eligible for these services. Now you have to go to this room. And now you have to go to this room. Explain something like that where I've seen, I hate to say it, but in my mom's situation, I think somebody wanted her to come in and put her house up. My mom's house was free and clear. She paid it off free and clear. She's in a nursing home, and she said the only way we can continue to care for you if you sign over your house. And they were like, hold up. No, we're not going to do all that there. So are you familiar with where Medicaid runs out or something like that?
I'd have to say Medicaid is not my wheelhouse or my zone of genius.
Yes. But there is some issues with not having health insurance. And then when that kicks in, then they go after it all. Like I say, my mom worked hard, paid off her house free and clear. And as she was in the nursing home, they said, okay, we can leave you in this wing with no air condition, or we can take you over there with the air conditioning if you have good insurance. So it's definitely tied to real estate, how your health insurance is set up, because I mean, when it's time for the doctors and the hospitals to get paid, they want to get paid by all means necessary. Share your experience on what, a lot of times it's our pain that drives us. What drove me into real estate is I was on Section 8 growing up. I leased. And I said, you know what, never again, we will own. And now we've owned several properties, continue to buy and sell and look for great opportunities. What was your passion? What made you realize, hey, I need to know more about health insurance?
Oh, thank you for that. Yes, and I think what you were addressing perhaps with your mom is something with regard to long-term care.
Yes.
But with regard to people who are 65 and under, if, say, for instance, a medical emergency not only leaves you in incredible physical pain, but financial distress, you want to make sure, if you go to a financial planner, the first thing that they're going to ask you is, do you have a good foundation? Do you have life insurance? Do you have health insurance? Are all the things insured? Before I start playing with your money, let's make sure that your foundation is laid. That's what health benefits are, right? Because imagine you have a medical emergency, you have a large medical bill, and you can't pay it. Well, the one thing you don't want to do is ignore that bill, right? See if the doctors or hospital will work with you, pay what you can, get on a payment plan, see if you can qualify for some type of financial assistance program, something like that. But the last thing you want is for them to sue you due to failure of payment, them to put a judgment against you. Because the judgment, it doesn't matter what you can afford, it's what you owe.
And talk about that too. You were saying the difference between a deductible, co-insured, and all that. How does that work?
Yes. So That's actually, thank you for saying that, because sometimes insurance can be confusing, mostly because people don't understand the terminology.
Yes.
So I can break that down really quickly, and I think in under a minute. So really, when you're talking about premiums, you're talking about your monthly payment for an insurance policy. When you're talking about a deductible, that is the amount you must pay before insurance actually kicks in. So think of it as a cover charge to get in the club, right?
Okay.
You've got to pay that first before insurance starts paying anything. A copay, you may be subject to a fee. It does not necessarily count towards that deductible that you're subject to. But so after you've satisfied your deductible, you still may be subject to copays. Once you hit that deductible, though, that's when your co-insurance kicks in. That's what most people know as 80-20, 70-30, 60-40. It's the percentage of cost sharing that you split with the insurance company.
Okay, so cost sharing.
Yes, if you have a 80-20 plan, let's say, insurance would pay 80% of your medical expenses after you meet your deductible.
Okay.
And then you're responsible for the remaining 20 until you meet your maximum out of pocket, whatever that is on your particular policy.
And there's no 100% insurance coverage out there.
You can add supplemental plans to bridge any gaps, things like that. So if you have a $5,000 deductible, you can put in place maybe an accident plan or some type of hospital indemnity plan or something like that, where, you know, it basically covers all your gaps so that when you do start incurring medical expenses, you can build a pretty seal tight plan if you want to. Absolutely.
So how do you gauge how much health insurance you need? I know on the financial planners, they usually say take your amount of earnings you need $5 million in life insurance or something like that. How do you normally gauge? What do you recommend based on age, risk, and things like that? How much coverage do you think people normally need?
Great question. So I say, you want to make sure that you pick a plan where if you have a medical emergency, you're able to cover your deductible.
Yes.
And you're able to cover your maximum out of pocket.
Okay.
So if you have a maximum out of pocket, it's on the ACA, the average on the ACA this year is $8,150. In a medical emergency, your true exposure is going to be roughly $8,150.
Okay.
Do you have that set aside to meet that? So that insurance picks up the rest of usual and customary charges.
And then, okay, and so $8,000 worth of coverage is typically what the average have in a medical emergency. If that's the case, what about having a baby or something like that?
So if you want to do family planning, you absolutely need to speak with a health insurance professional.
Yes. Because
there's only a handful of plans that are going to offer coverage for that type of need.
What? Everybody's not covered for having babies?
That is correct.
Whoa.
That is correct. Yes.
So that's like that's not a necessity anymore. Like I guess you could have it on the side of the road now.
Maybe. I don't know.
Wow. So times are changing.
There's definitely the Affordable Care Act does cover maternity.
Okay.
So that's wonderful. But a lot maybe your short-term plans or your private plans would not offer maternity coverage. So you need to, if you have one of those types of plans, you have to speak with your health insurance professional and make sure that you're in a good situation to get as much bang for your buck, let's say.
Wow. So we're going to go ahead and go to another break. Once again, this is Don Davis Real Estate Show. We're talking about owning a home and not letting a medical emergency impact your home ownership by being underinsured or unprepared. Keep in mind, love where you live, love where you work. DDLRG, love's going to get you. Brokered by Compass. Congratulations to the Kirkpatrick family on the purchase of that brand new home. When it's time to make a business decision about your residence, it's a done deal.
It's a done deal.
It's a done deal. Don Davis Luxe Realty Group, brokered by Compass, live in the studio, 6161 Savoy, with Whitney, the health insurance lady. She is the person. She's the person. She's the coverage, the health coverage, the health insurance person.
It was supposed to make it easy to remember.
I keep trying to change her, but she's still Whitney.
You're changing my persona.
Changing our persona. Look. So basically, check this out. We need to talk about the importance of having health insurance.
Correct.
If you own a home, if you're going to get a home, if you don't have a home, because a medical emergency averages $8,100.
So, no.
Okay.
Yes.
Fix it.
So the 8,100, 8,150, so to speak, was an average out-of-pocket maximum for an insurance for an individual on the Affordable Care Act this year.
Okay.
But I mean, the medical emergency could be hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Depending on the state. You mentioned that the other day, that the average, every state has its own cost. So
the plan, it depends. So there are, in terms of I guess, plans. So we're just talking about the marketplace, right?
Yes.
The marketplace. But different plans are available in different states,
yes.
Depending on what direction you go.
Yeah, we're talking about, because I was mentioning the other day is that that one of my clients said he could get that surgery. He looked at getting that surgery in one state, and then he said, you know what, I can get that surgery a little bit less in this state.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yes.
So
there is a place called, you can go online and look up the Surgery Center of Oklahoma.
Yes.
It actually, they list on their website the prices for their surgeries.
Yes.
So, if you have a procedure coming up, maybe a scan or an MRI, if you have a surgical procedure that you're planning for, just like you wouldn't go out and buy a $5,000 electronic without doing your research, you should do the same thing for your procedure, your scan. There's lots of ways to shop your health care prior to just going in and receiving that shell shock on the back end.
And what's that website again for that?
So the Surgery Center of Oklahoma, I would Google it. I think it's surgerycenterofoklahoma.com maybe.
And then you mentioned one also for pharmaceuticals, I think out of Canada.
Yes. Farmstore.com. You can get, you can shop their prescription prices and maybe realize some savings there, which is amazing.
Exactly. Because I think it's
not a controlled substance.
Yeah, exactly. We want to make sure it's legal here.
Yes.
Because I think it's very important, like you said, and I've heard you present several times. I think it's very important that we get on the other side of this thing, because I think a lot of people just show up to the medical emergency room and wait for a bill in the mail.
Correct.
And once you know the process, you know the copay, you know the deductible, you know exactly that they're only going to cover 80%, you know this, then you're able to say, you know what, is this a cold or is it the COVID-19?
You need to be in control. You need to be a consumer, a smart consumer of your health care.
Yeah, you need to know if you need emergency or you need a vaccine.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because some people say everything is not as bad as people perceive, but if it is bad, you want to have the health insurance in place to take care of that situation.
Yes, to be able to, the last thing you want to worry about in a medical emergency is your finances, right?
Exactly.
You want to be able to have the access to the doctors and hospitals that you want. That's the last thing you want to worry about.
And what about for self-employed? Because, that's, like I said, a lot of people are getting laid off. A lot of people are transitioning from W-2 to self-employed. I understand that you have programs where people pay monthly, but you also have programs where people pay at one time. How do those programs work?
So I would just like to say there's tons of options for individuals who are self-employed. And if I can bust a myth here real quickly, one of the biggest myths out there is that there's no PPOs available for individuals who are self-employed, and that couldn't be further from the truth.
Wow. Okay.
So I'd like to definitely break that myth right now, and for the state of Texas, that there's plenty of PPO plans available.
Okay.
Plenty of them for people who are self-employed.
So they just haven't found Serenity, because if they found Serenity, they would know that there's a lot of PPOs for self-employed in Texas.
Exactly.
And once again, how can we find Serenity before we go to our next break?
Website is serenitybenefitsgroup.com. That's benefits with an S. You can find me on Facebook at Serenity Benefits Group, Instagram at Serenity Benefits Group, or you can also find me on Facebook, Whitney, the health insurance person.
Wait. No break yet. I just realized I might have interrupted you, because I get so excited when you talk about this, because like I say, you're definitely professional in the craft. So why did you get in this again? I want to take you back 2 minutes.
Education. Thank you.
Tell us in 2 minutes how you got into health insurance.
Yes. So I didn't know what I didn't know.
Okay.
And I kind of learned it was baptism by fire, let's just say.
Yes,
and I had to develop a lot of skills really quickly. And I felt when the light was turned, it was like the light was turned on in a dark room for me.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, this is important to know. And so when I work with my clients, I come first from an educational perspective. I'm a broker, so that means I'm not tied to any one insurance company. I am licensed in 12 states, and I can, you know, appoint and get contracted with multiple companies. I always try to, of course, find the best product for my clients.
Yes.
And so it's not about just trying to put a square peg in a round hole.
Yes.
I truly educate them about what's out there. We'll look at everything because it doesn't matter to me what you choose. You know?
So why did you educate yourself so much? Was it a personal situation, or did you just, I mean, because you had mentioned some transitioning that happened.
Yes. Well, I mean, it has affected me personally. Absolutely. My mom had a stroke at 62, and she was in St. Luke's for a month. And, you know, that was prior to me working with health insurance, and she didn't necessarily have the coverage that she thought she had. And I didn't know anything about it at the time. And so, yes, when I started working with insurance and understanding it more, I like I said, I felt empowered, and I like helping other people feel empowered. And
that's important. You have to have some type of passion. I know a lot of people who are also involved in veterinary nonprofits and things like that because they had something personal happen to drive you to that industry. And that once you have that passion, no one can stop you.
Not at all.
And at the same time, you know you're operating in your calling because you're helping people prepare for the worst thing that could possibly happen, and that's a medical emergency. We're going to go ahead and go to our next break. Keep in mind, love where you live, love where you work, love to have health insurance. This is Don Davis and Whitney, the health insurance person.
You got it.